Well, welcome in to My Dogs Are Barking on MPW Digital. I'm Landon and joined back by Austin, man. Austin, it's always easier to have you here with me, man. I know you had a crazy work schedule working overnight, but I'm always glad whenever you're here because it's helpful to have someone else to talk to. I think you'd be a crazy person to think it's normal to talk like just to yourself that long.
Yeah, no, for sure. I don't know if I could do it like, 2 times a week talking to myself for 20 minutes while I look to myself in the camera. It would probably drive me nuts too. So I always hate missing episodes, so I hate that I missed last episode. So I'm glad to be here.
Well, yeah, in the last episode, we previewed Mississippi State and Missouri going into that game and mentioned how big of a game it was. And we'll talk a little bit about that game today, but I think the biggest thing is to talk about the kind of the outcome of, or not outcome, but the preview for the rest of the season. I think where Mississippi State is right now, you kind of have a decision to make for the rest of the year. Because as good of a season as it's been in the forefront, Mississippi State is in the territory of losing control because of who they have upcoming. And I really, really want to be able to get to that. And so we'll talk about that. Last year, it was a similar thing that happened to Mississippi State. There was a kind of a moment in time where they had lost a couple in a row, and they had several games to go there at the very end after they had lost four in a row. Or no, before then, before there was the Ole Miss loss and Alabama loss, and they kind of turned it around there for the last 6 games in a row. So we'll get into that in just a little bit. First, I want to let you know that this episode is brought to you in part by Arpa's Coffee there in Starkville. Man, especially after a game like Saturday, you need some sort of pick me up, something to get you going. Arpa's is the way to go. Arpa's is in the Cotton District, located in the heart of Starkville. Just an awesome place, a great gathering place to celebrate special occasions, a really cool late night hangout spot. I know the Mississippi State like special teams were hanging out there late nights on some weeknights during this football season. Just kind of a cool atmosphere, and their great staff is dedicated to help ensure your experience is nothing short of amazing. So make sure you do that. Hey, listen, get 15% off of your order just by letting them know that you're a listener of the My Dogs Are Barking podcast. Not a bad deal. Also, sorry, my dog's over here just chilling. But they make sure you take advantage of that. And look, you'll be able to save some money. You'll be able to keep some cash in your pocket. Who knows, man? You might even end up being rich someday. But what does it mean to be rich? Maybe it's less about reaching a magic number and more about discovering the magic in life. Skip Langley is your Batesville, Mississippi, Edward Jones advisor, serving clients in the area and across the state of Mississippi. Count on him for financial strategies that can help support a life you love. Because the key to being rich is knowing what counts. So contact him today at 662-563-9843. And together, you can find your rich. Edward Jones, member SIPC. Last season, Austin, Mississippi State entered this, and it's back on the My Dogs Barking podcast channel before we got to MPW Digital. And State had dropped a couple games in a row that were big. I think that they had lost 4 of their 5, and I said, like, if it was around this time, it was I'm looking at the loss versus Alabama. They had lost to Alabama by 32 on the road, and it was February 3rd, 2024. It's February 2nd, 2025. And State finds themselves in a very similar place. Now, from where Mississippi State was, they were 14-8, which is on the bubble in the NCAA tournament, especially with what's upcoming. They went on to win 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in a row, including a huge game versus Arkansas. They beat Georgia by double digits, Missouri by double digits, Ole Miss by double digits, LSU by double digits. They lose that incredibly close game versus Kentucky. And anyway, they were able to kind of salvage the season. And Austin, what I want to ask you, where Mississippi State is right now, it seems like they're in a similar position, but I'm not crazy to say that this is on the brink of them losing control of the season. Would you say, or would we push back on that?
No, I mean after this game against Missouri, I feel like you can say kind of anything is pretty valid. I mean, after the Alabama loss, I wasn't really too hurt about the Alabama loss because it's such a good team. But this Missouri loss is entirely different, and it's not like we just lost by a bucket or two. I mean, we got blown out by 27 points. It was ugly. So you could say that, and we've talked about it. The SEC so dang good. It doesn't matter who you're playing. You can go at Georgia and get beat. We could lose to dang Georgia by 27 points, or we could win by 27 points. You just don't know what this team is going to bring. We desperately need to bounce back, and this is a must win for momentum. And I mean that game really hurt us. That really put a hurt on the Bulldogs and put a hurt on the fan base. I know it had to put a big hurt on the players, a big hurt on the momentum. And this schedule isn't getting any easier. And going at Georgia is not that's a tall task still. And so this is I know we're gonna get to this game that we're gonna be playing on Saturday, but that's gonna be a tough game. But I mean, we still got to play Florida. I mean, it's rough. We still got to play Ole Miss. So there's a lot of ground to still cover, a lot of basketball to be played. But as of now, the momentum is not in the Bulldogs' favor going into this game against Georgia. It's gonna be rough. But hey, like I just said, there is a lot of basketball to be played. Mississippi State Bulldog fans, and we got to bounce back.
Yeah, we'll preview this game on Thursday. I want to get to Chris Jans' comments from this game against Missouri. Chris Jans, I think the most telling quote, he said, "We've had some tough nights and we've had tough losses. We haven't won every game that we've played at home, but I don't remember that feeling that I had this afternoon. I was embarrassed for all of us, and it starts with me. It's my responsibility to have the pulse and to get them ready to go, either via game planning or just motored up and motivated, and obviously we weren't." He seemed to really have a like this seemed to really affect him in this game the way State played, and they did. They were just Josh Hubbard was able to get going. I know we kind of wondered what his kind of response would be. He had 24 points, but then everybody else was not able to do anything for them. The Kanye Clary is like the that's like a loss that just keeps hurting them. Keyshawn Murphy had 16. After that, you don't have anybody else that has over 6 points in this game, man.
Yeah, no, I mean it's crazy. Yeah, but Keyshawn Murphy did play well, but I mean, gosh, I mean, could you imagine if Josh Hubbard or Keyshawn Murphy was like injured? I mean, for this game and wasn't able to play. I mean, this game would have been, way worse. It's just I don't get it. I don't get it. And Riley Kugel played really bad against Alabama too. And I don't know. I don't know what the answer is. I don't think any Mississippi State fan has the answer right now. I don't think Chris Jans has the answer. But if you're getting blown out and your spirits are crushed as a fan, you're going to want the coach to take a lot of responsibility, and you're going to want to see hurt in him. And I know I'm Jeff Lebby. After all those losses, I wanted Jeff Lebby to take responsibility for this loss, because the first person fans go to blame a loss is the head coach. It could be a missed field goal, it could be a blocked field goal at the last second. Doesn't matter. They're going to blame the coach, and that's just how sports is. And I'm glad that Chris Jans had that answer, because he seemed really crushed by it. It wasn't really, coach talk. It was, I felt like it was from the heart. And I feel like that's the best thing you can say. That's what I want to know as a fan. I want to know that the head coach is really upset by this, and he's not going home to his all his money and just being like, "Hi, who cares? We'll win the next game." Chris Jans he's a winner at heart, and he wants to win, and he's done a great job of winning here in Starkville just in these 3 years. And so it's really refreshing to hear that from Chris Jans.
Yeah, it seemed to really embarrass him. But I don't know, Austin. Looking at what we have here, so we mentioned there's going to be 8 straight Quad 1 games. State's 0-2. And I said it before Missouri game. I don't have a good feeling about their game versus Georgia. I think Georgia's got some talented players. They didn't look good versus Alabama. Nobody really does, outside of the game versus Ole Miss had. Um, I'm afraid in terms of kind of projecting where this team's going. Man, State is on the brink because of what is up. I mean, they have a at Georgia, home versus number 5 in the nation, Florida. At Ole Miss, home versus A&M, and then you have away Oklahoma, away Alabama in terms of wrapping up your quad one games where you get a quick break versus LSU and then 2 more quad one games to in the season. State's on the am I crazy in saying this? State's on the brink of if they're not careful, they end up losing, out of these next 6 games, they end up losing 4 of them. They're on the brink of being an 8 seed or 9 seed possibly.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I think so for sure. I mean, yeah, I mean, you just in terms of where we are right now, we're at a terrible place. I don't think any Mississippi State fans likes where we're at right now. But I mean, I'm not a spoiled basketball fan. Even if we are the 8 or 9 seed, I'll take us just making the tournament, honestly. So I don't even care what seed when it comes to, as long as we're in the tournament. Obviously, I would rather us have a better seed. But if we're in the dang thing, I'm happy, to be honest.
I guess though, like when you look at a talent like Hubbard and you look at a talent on paper like Kugel, you want to say, okay, and also Keyshawn Murphy off the bench has been very good. And Cam Matthews, like this is gonna be his last year. Like you want to get the most out of it, and they have enough collective talent. They could have been a top 4 seed, but that looks like it's sailing away very quickly because of these losses that are adding up. Now you go out and you beat Georgia on Saturday. That kind of keeps you afloat. And then if you can figure out a way to win 2 of the next 3 between Florida, Ole Miss, and Texas A&M, which you have 2 of those at home, then I think you're okay. But at this point, you're just fighting to maintain because you're starting to lose a lot of these quad one games that have been thrown at you. I mean, look at it this way: State's lost 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of their last 7 games. And that's a tough place to be in, man. They're in a little bit of a slump. Even though Hubbard's starting to catch, they are just struggling to get any sort of contribution from other people. And but this game in particular, this was just a clunker of a game. They've got to get back at it on Thursday. And like I said, we'll have a kind of a deeper dive into it on Thursday in terms of the matchups and that kind of thing. But Missouri, man, just completely outplayed Mississippi State in this game, and just we're rolling. And what has State been struggling with, Austin? Defending the 3, and all of a sudden, Missouri almost shoots 50% from the 3-point line again. State has had a trouble with that. And you're more of a basketball X's and O's guy, so I wanted to ask you this: is the reason that there's so many guys getting shots? It's not like people are left completely open or anything. I mean, there's some cases like that. But is it because State does not have like a true center down low to defend the paint? And so there's so much help defense kind of coming to help out. And that's why like Cam Matthews gets steals down low. Keyshawn Murphy's down there helping out because they start to double the people in the paint. And then they kick it out to a person that has a more of an open shot. Like, is that what is going on, you think?
Yeah, I think that's entirely it. I mean, when you see them, like you said, we don't have a long, really good center that can play, a lot of the game. We don't really have that. So yeah, we help a lot. So when they pass in to their center or power forward, like they're just their big man in the game. Yeah, we usually try to either double team or at least help out, just a little bit. And that creates, they can just kick it out, and it's a good look. So that's really been our Achilles heel all season defensively, and that's really hurt us. But when Keyshawn Murphy's down there and Michael Nwoko, I mean, they're not great defenders down low, so we need help, or that's their barbecue chicken every single time. So I mean, every center can have 20 points every single game if we're just going to let them go one-on-one with Keyshawn Murphy. They're just going to body him. And so, yeah, we need to have that help defense. But, I mean, on the other side, everything has its pros and cons. That's a big con. We're leaving them wide open. So that really does suck. And I don't know. I don't know what their way around that is. I guess next season, I mean, we're going to have to go get another big in the portal unless this guy I forgot his last name. I mean, he played with Bronny and stuff, and so the guy that's coming in, I'm really excited about him. But yeah, it's either him or I forgot the power forward that's coming in as well, or we got to go get a transfer. But we need somebody big who can play a lot of minutes, who can actually defend one-on-one in the paint, because that's really been hurting us this season.
Yeah, I think that's got to be it. State's got to get a true big man. Like even last year, like you had Tolu Smith, which he's no Jarvis Fernando down there, but like Jimmy Bell was a big guy that you kind of had to try to bang around with. And this season, I mean, Keyshawn Murphy's a very thin guy, so there's not a lot of girth, if you will, down low, and that's something that they need. They've got speed, but and Keyshawn Murphy, I mean, he can shoot, but you need some bigger guys, because whenever you're having to do that much help defense, they're just kicking it right back out, and it's starting to happen every single game. So you're going to have to, but the problem with, and this is where I don't envy coaches. The problem with that though is if you do that, if I'm correct on this, if you say, all right, enough of this help defense in the paint, we're just going to go man to man and do it that way. The higher percentage shot is actually the 2-point shot. So you could say, okay, cool, we'll do that. So now you got a guy going one-on-one on Keyshawn Murphy, and that's a higher percentage shot than taking a somewhat contested three whenever Sean Jones or whoever's getting there late to try to jump. Am I right on that? Like it's might, statistically speaking, wouldn't it be a bigger risk to not do the help defense?
Exactly. That's what I was saying. I mean, they're a team center, especially in the SEC, can literally get 20 points every single game. We could see every single team's 20 points, 20 points, 20 points, just because they can keep going back. They can keep going back. And like you said, I mean, it is a lower percentage shot from the 3-point line, even though, I mean, every dang SEC team, while we've seen it, they got shooters. They got shooters, especially when they play Mississippi State. I don't know what it is about it, but they got shooters. So yeah, I think it's the best we can do for this season. Next season, we're just gonna have to figure it out, though.
Yeah. Well, we will be right back after this ad from Neil, and then we will talk some Mississippi State news. I think is pretty significant when it comes to football. So we'll get at that right after the break.
All MPW digital podcasts are brought to you by our friends at Parish Brewing Company, located in the heart of Cajun country in Broussard, Louisiana. Parish Brewing Company's simple goal is to make awesome craft brewed beer, and they do it remarkably well. The doctor is introducing their new go-to IPA, Dr. Juice. It's a highly crushable juice bomb, dry hopped with a blend of their favorite hand-selected hops from the Yakima Valley in Washington. Dr. Juice's drinkability is sneaky good, considering it clocks in at 6% ABV. The pour glows a rich cantaloupe hue with a thick frosted haze, soft mouthfeel, an aroma and taste that's full of passion fruit, papaya, and blood orange, making it drink like a glass of freshly squeezed juice. They also have Ghost in the Machine. It's a double IPA brewed with obscene quantities of hand-selected Citra hops from Yakima Valley. Expect pungent grapefruit flavors and aromas, tropical fruit, less harsh bitterness than most IPAs. Again, it's Parish Brewing Company. Wherever you get your beer, check out Parish. Make sure that you look for them, because any beer that you get from Parish is going to be absolutely outstanding. Thank you from MPW Digital.
MPW Digital. Austin, I want to talk to you about some Mississippi State football news. I mean, transfer portal, that kind of thing is ending. Thankfully, that's an exhaustive process trying to learn. Mississippi State added some more depth on the defensive side of the ball when it comes to the coaching staff. Former Big 12, when it was in the Big 12, Colorado football coach Mike Mcintyre has been hired as a defensive analyst by Mississippi State. Mcintyre was the head coach at FIU, I think. Yeah. And then he was at San Jose State before then, along with Colorado. And so Mississippi State really is trying to build some more kind of coaching on that side of the ball. It's along with another former head coach in the Big 12, Paul Rhodes. I mean, State's defense, we talked about all season, gave up 34 points a game. And so I love this move of adding 2 former head coaches to be your defensive analyst is speaks wonders because it means Jeff Lebby sees some of the he sees the writing on the wall. He knows they need help. But what a move for State to go get 2 former head coaches to be a part of the defensive staff.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, man. Jeff Lebby believes in Coleman Hutzler so much. I mean, this is all about Coleman Hutzler. I mean, 99.9% of people thought he should have been out last year, and week by week, day by day, that man kept his job. I don't know how he did it, but he did it, and he's going to be our defensive coordinator this year. So we got to get as much help as we can because if our defense is anything like last year, he's not going to have another season in Starkville. I guarantee that. And Jeff Lebby isn't either. I guarantee that as well. So, yeah, I mean, we got to have some help, and this is a beautiful thing. Obviously, position guys are all the way filled. We gotta, and anybody who wants to come in can come in and help out defensively. This is awesome, and this could help Coleman Hutzler so much. These guys are seasoned veterans, and these guys have seen a lot of football, all kind of every single day, and so many different conferences. This is awesome. This is really, really awesome for us to have Jeff Lebby or Coleman Hutzler, whoever decided to hire them. This was a great move. And hopefully, these guys can really rub off on Coleman Hutzler because Coleman Hutzler, he's very young, very, very young. And, he has a lot of football, left to be coached. And so, it's good for us. I'm really excited about it because it helps me feel better about it, just because the fans are really struggling to buy in this year. Especially, when they look at our schedule, but when they see Coleman Hutzler coming back, they really struggle buying in. And this is going to help out just a little bit to be like, hey, it's not just going to be Coleman Hutzler calling his own shots. We got other guys who really care and, who have a legacy on their, on the line when they said, hey, he was an analyst at Mississippi State, but their defense was terrible. People don't want to be seen as that. So these former head coaches, they really care. And so they want this defense to be as good as possible. And so Coleman Hutzler getting help, that's the best thing that can happen.
Yeah, and the way I look at it is, say in somewhere along the season, if they go, all right, this is enough, you let go of Hutzler. Well, now you have 2 different options to be like, okay, we're going to go ahead and give Paul Rhodes this opportunity. We're going to go ahead and give Mike McIntyre the opportunity and give them the reins, like kind of a built-in person. Because if not, I do not know who Hutzler would have ended up hiring, or pardon me, who Lebby would end up hiring and saying, okay, you're going to take the reins if it did not work out there as an interim. I think honestly, it gives you, if you're not going to let Hutzler go, it gives you the best possible look. We tried. We brought him 2 former head coaches. We brought it. It helps add to your case if you're not going to let him go for whatever reason. It helps you out. So honestly, in the end, you can just kind of sum this up as like, I cannot think of any downside to this hire. You're just adding another former head coach with experience. They can help her with recruiting. It's big. And honestly, what I was thinking, Austin, the amount we covered this in the transfer portal time, but like State did not bring a lot of proven commodities, especially on the defensive line. They brought in a lot of guys, but did not bring a lot of proven commodities. So what if using some of these guys' expertise, even if one of them can help kind of find a gem in this, like, man, that's another benefit because they've seen potential in guys, before. So all in all, it's a good move for State, and hopefully will help push things in the right direction because this is a program in desperate need of positive things to happen right now. Just kind of lost along the way, and fans are clobbering for baseball season. But I promise you, whenever State loses 2 out of 3 on a weekend, there people are going to be clamoring. Well, I guess we'll get ready for football. So we'll be here for all of it, though, won't we, Austin? We'll be here to be able to cover it, and we'll be excited about that. Any closing thoughts, Austin, before we finish here and then come back on Thursday for the preview for Georgia?
Not really. The women last time I checked were playing LSU. They were losing. It was the end of the third quarter. They were losing, so I don't think we're gonna win. But they were keeping it close. So shout out to the Lady Bulldogs. Other than that, I really don't have anything. Y'all make sure to subscribe to MPW Digital though.
Yeah. State ended up losing to LSU 81-67. Had a good second quarter and third quarter, but just could not hang on towards the end. LSU had a really big first quarter in that game. So state women dropped to 16-7 on the season. Has just had a tough go so far this season outside of their win on the road versus Oklahoma. They did get the win versus Georgia, but they've had some struggles here as of late. Lost a really close one to Missouri, and then they'll get back on the road on Thursday, or pardon me, at home Thursday at 6:30 against Arkansas. But they're another team. They're kind of on getting on the ropes to be another bubble team. You better hope if you're Mississippi State men, you don't find yourself on the bubble. I know they had a lot of good wins early on, but I don't know, man. It's this one. It just feels like you hope everybody hangs on, but at this point in the season, will the 3-point defense ever be solved? I don't know. Again, don't envy being a coach. There's decisions to make for everything. If you say, okay, we're gonna try to shut down this three, I think fans would be well served. See, and do you remember this, Austin? Back against it was the SMU game. Mississippi State played. I think it was a neutral site game versus SMU, and SMU had the really big, is international guy, like 7'1", 7'2" down low, and they were playing straight up, and he was having a day because Keyshawn Murphy couldn't guard him. He's not big enough, and so it's not as easy as just, all right, well, let's just go 1-on-1, forget about the help defense. That's a big part of the identity to be able to kind of take control of that. So, all right, Austin, we will get out of here. And we will be back on Thursday to preview Georgia, a big game, a big opportunity on Saturday. So, as always, thank you guys so much for listening to the My Dogs Are Barking podcast on MPW Digital. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you follow us on Twitter at MyDawgsPod, and we will catch you next time.